Hello, it's the 7th of June and welcome along to Renew Every Morning. I'm Paul Anderson-Walsh and I'm just delighted to have the opportunity to talk to you again. And we're talking in this month about a series about strength and courage. That's our theme for the month. And in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 31, in fact, and verse 6. And we're going to think about something that Moses said right at the end of his ministry. And the advice that he gives then, he gave all those years ago, seems to me to resonate as strongly today as it did when he first spoke those words. So let me remind you of them and then we'll jump into the study together. Well, he says this, he says, be strong and be courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them. Open brackets, you can include or name your them as you wish, close the bracket. For the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Wow. Well, first and foremost, I'm sure that you recognize in Moses' speech the very words of the Christ himself. Lo, I am with you until the end of the age. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Isn't that wonderful? So Moses speaks this word in the book of Deuteronomy, and Jesus takes the very same words as words of encouragement when he's commissioning the disciples. I will never leave you nor forsake you. That's something you and I need to really, really hold on to, particularly if you've ever been left or forsaken. And many of us have got those lived experience stories, but you're never going to be able to have that lived experience story to tell of your relationship with the Lord. That will never happen. So please, for those of you who, like me, know what it means to be abandoned, hold on to this statement because it's so wonderful. Now, by the way, Moses didn't get to this immediately. This took him a lifetime, really, of walking and talking and understanding the ways of God, not just the acts of God, before he could stand before his community and make that great declaration. Because you remember, won't you, that when his commission began, he began somewhat diffidently. In fact, he was a little reluctant, to say the very least. He had to be taken to a burning bush and be shown the most extraordinary miracle to help him understand the reason why he could go out strong and courageous, not being afraid or terrified by them, because he saw this miracle that was essentially this. It was extraordinary. How comes this bush burn up but didn't burn out? How on earth is that the case? And of course, you'll know the story. It's all about the fact that Jesus was the fire within the bush. And the point is this, is when something burns, it burns itself out, but not if Christ is the fire within us. And he had to learn that. And when he learned it, he said, oh my goodness, I'm on holy ground. Now, of course, you remember even in the dialogue when the Lord is trying to coax him into his ministry, into walking in the testimony that he's going to have and that we'll all know him for. He says, well, who am I to go to Pharaoh? Well, if they don't believe me, well, I'm not eloquent, I'm slow of speech. And finally says, oh, just please send somebody else. But every objection that Moses comes with, the Lord just bats it away. Who am I to go to Pharaoh? Do you remember he says, when you show up in front of Pharaoh, you will be like God to him. Well, if they don't believe me, well, that's something that you and I need to hold on to, because sometimes when we're given to talk about something, the question isn't whether or not they believe you or not. That's not really the issue. The issue is that you believe and you've delivered what you believed you were told to deliver. Whether they believe it or not is another matter. I'm slow of speech. Really? Well, don't worry about what you're saying, New Testament now. Again, I'll give you the words. And finally, please send somebody else. Well, actually, in this case, he sent Aaron to go with him. But make no mistake, you, Moses, is going to be the one that's going to do the work here. But the one who didn't feel ready, ironically, is the one who leads this nation into freedom. It is quite extraordinary when you think about it, that he led Israel out of captivity and into this great land. Of course, he lives three lives, really, doesn't he? He lives his life in three acts. He spends the first 40 years of his life living in a palace thinking he was somebody. He spends the next 40 years of his life as a fugitive learning he was nobody. And then he finds out what happens in the final 40 years of his life when he discovers what God can do through anybody. And this is the most extraordinary truth of the gospel of completely, that this Christ in you can do all things. So what about this chapter? Well, This next chapter that's about to happen to Israel is really not his to write. So his time now is he's going to have this baton change, and he's got to move the baton away on from himself. He was the prophet that brought Israel out, but he's not the prophet that's going to bring Israel in. And that's worth bearing in mind, Sometimes what got you here will not get you there. So you and I may have things that we're very comfortable with, processes, ideas, philosophies, ways of doing things, and they may have got you to here, but that doesn't mean they're going to get you to your there. No, not at all. That was where the Moses commission ended and the Joshua commission begins. So that's an important thing to recognize. This is now going to be Joshua's commission to take them into the promised land. Still, Moses gives them this great story, this great thing, and he says, look, I don't have a map, I don't have a weapon, but what I do have is I have the memory etched in my mind of the presence, and I know what it is to stand my ground in the presence of God. And so he says, look, Israel, do not be afraid. Don't be terrified by what's inside this land you're about to enter into, because you're never going to go alone. Your Joshua will discover that. Do you remember the great story when he comes to Jericho and he sees the captain of the host and he says, are you with me? Who are you with? You with me or with them? And what are you talking about? I'm the captain of the hosts. So he says, now look, just be strong. That's the thing I want you to understand. This means to strengthen, to hold fast. And he's saying, be strong, hold fast to the Lord. This is really holy resolve. It's just to hold on to God. Don't fear. That kind of fear that gives you paralysis. It just brings you into a total state of panic and stop. He said, no, don't do that. Don't be terrified. That's that panic that makes you just want to run. No. Don't do any of that. He will never, ever leave you. Literally, he will not let you go. You never have to worry about that. He won't let you go. God's presence is permanent, and you can hold on to that. And so the idea here is about saying, look, he knows God's ways. I've told you that already. He goes back. He's got history. Now, you don't have to feel brave, I guess. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the presence of trust. So let's just breathe it again as whatever adventure that the Lord has you on the brink of. Maybe you're the Moses, the giving away the commission, or maybe you're the Joshua and the people about to enter into your new promised land. Well, either way, just remember that the secret is about abiding in the presence. That's what they learned with the Shekinah glory, that the glory went with them. And just to think about, just today, maybe a couple of thoughts for you. Maybe you're being invited into something. Maybe, I don't know, there's something that you've got to know and find. What's the fear that might be blurring your vision? Is there one? Is there something that's causing you anxiety? Something that's causing you fear? Well, if there is the case, let's lay hold of that. Let's be courageous. Let's live without being fearless about it, because you can. And today's renewing thought is God goes with you, and that is the difference. So be strong. Be courageous. You're never going to go this journey alone. So may you be renewed, may you be encouraged in all you do and all you think along these lines, because God is with you. All right, great to be with you. And if this has in any way been helpful to you, please always share it, let other people know about it, and so we can have more people that are walking with us on this way of grace. All right, much love to you. Bye-bye for now.